Well, well, well. Goodness gracious. The show should be starting right now. Well, actually, according to this clock right here, I've got a minute and 40 seconds. Hot dog. Great. Hello, Gunnar. Hello, John. Hello, others. It's been a while since I've seen you. Well, actually, it's been a long while since I've seen some of you and some not at all. But I'm delighted to be in front of you today. Let me move a little bit to the side. There we go. Was out of town. Memorial service for my mom last weekend, and lots of other family things that went along with that kind of kept me from you. But I am back now. Tuskegee University Athletics. Wow. Welcome. Glad to have you. I grew up in Auburn, so Tuskegee was just down the road from us. Yeah. Salutations and the like. That's right. Good to have you. Glad to have you. We're going to, in just a few minutes. Is this thing counting up or counting down? It's counting down. Oh, so I've already missed showtime. Well, we're going to be late with the show today. It's Eric. Oh, okay. Good. Well, I know you. Golly gee. Everything that could go wrong today went wrong, not just for me, but also for a close friend and client. So there we go. Thank you, Urban Media Showcase. Mom lived to 90 and it was a ripe old age, and she died very gracefully and peacefully and comfortably. So we celebrate that. We sure do. And, she went home. So there's a lot to be said about that. That's the bonus. I was going to say that's the cherry on top, but that's the whole prize right there, is going home. But I had a call yesterday from a client in the Caribbean, and they were having problems with vMix. Well, let me rephrase that. They were having problems with audio. So I thought we would do a riddle today, a case study, as it were, on how to fix their problem. I already know the answer, I think. And I think you might know the answer. So let's do it together. Let me roll the intro, and we'll be ready to go. Ready? Ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? Whoops, that didn't work. Hold on. Sometimes, if you ever had one of those days when, you try to fix something and you break something else. And so you go try to fix that, and then you break something else. So in order to fix this, you've got to fix that, and sometimes that. It's been one of those days. Goodness gracious. Okay. Well, today we are going to talk about audio. The riddle is going to be why the customer states, why do I hear an echo? Why do I hear an echo? So I thought I would, hold on a second. Let's do one more thing here. We're going to move things where we can get to. We'll move that to number 5. There we go. And now I have some sort of funny countdowny thing on my screen. Oh, well, that's all right. I'm just not going to pay attention to it. There we go. That got rid of that. So I want to show you guys this. Yeah, that is my white screen. So I'm going to pick a pen, and we're going to do that. All right. And so I want to draw out for you what my problem is. So, and unfortunately my pen broke, so we're going to have to do this with finger. So over here in the corner, come on, Tom, pick a pen. There you go. Any pen. We'll pick a rainbow colored pen. So over here in the corner is vMix. And there's actually a call on that vMix. And they're hearing an echo. And the audio, well, over here, let's put our mixer. And I think the mixer connects to the PC USB. And our client is listening through the mixer. And so that's our problem. That's our problem. The client is hearing an echo in their headphones of the vMix caller. They don't hear an echo of anything else. No, let me rephrase that. I take that back. The vMix caller hears an echo of himself over the call. Now remember, vMix call is supposed to be an automatic mix minus, so that the caller doesn't hear themselves back over the call. But what have they done to create this? So we'll walk through it again. So we've got vMix call. Let me go back here for just a second. We've got our vMix call right here, and the caller hears themselves 2 times. Or they probably hear themselves. They probably hear themselves in their earphones or in their headset, or on their speakers for that matter. Gosh, they could have speakers. I hadn't thought about that. They could be hearing themselves in their own speakers. I didn't think about that. We'll have to go back and ask the client that question. But let's just assume for a second that they have that they've got on a headset and they're talking into a microphone and they're talking into their computer, and their computer is connected vMix call to this computer right here. And the audio is going out of vMix call into the mixer. And I can't go over this. I guess I could if I reverse these, but anyway, you get the deal. Actually, we could reverse it pretty quickly. Let's see. Let's try that. 1 second here. We're just going to come here and we're going to go. Can we do that? I guess we could. Hold on a second. We'll go. We've got 24 and 5. So let's put 5 here and 24 here. And we'll go back like that. There we go. So that's crazy. That's definitely crazy. Anyway, I don't care for it, but let's go with it for a second. So I'm the mixer. So the audio is coming in to me from the vMix PC over USB. And the client is also talking into a microphone. And that's connected to the mixer. And so she can hear herself, and she also has sound devices. I wish I could do a little soundy thing. That's not bad. That are going into the mixer. And so she wants to hear the sound. She wants to hear herself with no delay. And she wants to hear the client, the caller. But the caller is getting himself back twice. Now, it's obvious to say, okay, we know why he is, because as GI says, there's no mix minus on that mixer. Well, there could be if it was not USB. If it was analog output, you could do an auxiliary output out of the mixer. So you could take all the inputs. The vMix PC would have to be hooked up twice to the mixer, once as an input, once as an output. And the output from the mixer would be, no, that wouldn't even work, would it? Well, it might if the only audio was coming from vMix. Welcome, Jeff. Unrelated question. I promise we'll come back to you. All right. So the problem is, this is the problem. Here's the problem. The guest, the host, is listening to the guest incorrectly. Yep. They need to have a different device than a mixer. And let's go back to this one for just a second. The mixer is the problem. As GI said, it is the problem. And where she is monitoring her audio is the problem. Let's go back to that for just a second. Can we do, oops, we don't want to do that. I don't have a cursor on this. I just keep moving it around. My bad. Using new technology and not doing a good job with it. So the mixer, the way it's currently set up, is going to obviously, as long as she is listening to all this stuff through the mixer, she wants to hear let's do this again. She wants to hear the guest, and she probably wants to hear her music, and the music might come from vMix, and it might come from outside of vMix, like an audio input into the mixer. And so she's got to be able to hear the guest, and the guest can't hear so the guest can't hear himself. So we've got to get rid of that. Whoops. Sorry about that. Let's go back to the pen here. We've got to get rid of this, because that USB connection is what's gumming up the works. And we can't, well, could we make a different input in vMix for the mixer? What if the mixer came, well, so there's an output. It's really the output to the mixer that is causing the problem with the guest's voice. And the guest has got to go out to the mixer in order for the host to hear. Unless the host monitors the audio somewhere else. Yeah, that would be my inclination. The problem is, if we got an eraser here. Yeah. If we do this and instead have her listening that way, she's going to get a delay on her own microphone, because a PC processing audio, even if it's ASIO audio, she's going to get a delay between her mic and the time it goes all the way back over there and then back into her ear. She's going to hear herself delayed. So we try to fix one problem and we end up creating another problem. We were talking about that in pre-show. The key is going to be, as GI says, if we can, well, the problem is, here's the problem, is everything coming out of vMix going into the mixer can't be separated. Now we could create an output in vMix, an analog output in vMix that was just the guest's audio, and we could route that to the mixer. But the host still has to be able to hear that. Yeah, the key is obviously having the mixer not send back the guest's audio to vMix. So the mixer would have to have a way of allowing the host to monitor the guest's audio without having the guest's audio be part of the main output. So, and you can't solo the guest because then you can't hear anything else, I guess, depending on the mixer. So if you've got a separate, let's do a different color here. Let's do a red. If you've got a separate output coming from the caller into the mixer, and put that on it, and it depends on how the mixer is configured. The smaller mixers won't have this option. And then you would have to have an output from the mixer back into the PC that would not include the guest's audio. So it would have to be an aux output. And then the guest, the host, can hear the guest, can hear everything in the mixer, including themselves, with no delay. So the mixer would have to have the capability to provide essentially two auxiliary outputs, one to the PC that's everything but the guest, because that's the only way vMix is going to get the host and all her music. And the second auxiliary output would go just to the host's ear. Or could she take the main? I guess she could take the main. Let's see what you guys say. GI says no mix minus on the physical mixer. I'm not sure if that's a statement saying that the mixer doesn't have a mix minus, or you shouldn't do a mix minus. I think that's where you would do a mix minus. GI says, I'm pretty sure USB can work provided it can be configured with the mix minus. And that's the problem. That's the problem. The USB is going to carry all of the audio from the mixer as the main output. It's also going to carry all of the audio from vMix as an input. And it's not, and if there's any audio coming from vMix that is other than the guest, if the guest's audio is the only audio going out to the mixer, then you're fine. You could do that. But if there's, bumper music or videos or anything else being run in vMix, then that becomes part of the output too. And and has to be, does it have to be returned? No, it doesn't have to be returned. So what if everything coming from vMix to the mixer stayed in the mixer and didn't go back out? The host would have to monitor it, but it wouldn't return to vMix because that stuff wouldn't be needed. You don't need the bumper music or the videos. You don't need the guest because you already have that in vMix. You want that just to stay in the mixer. I don't know that a mixer can control that USB input, though. That's the issue. Having had a USB or two USB mixers and suffered through these same problems, my recollection is that and I had a Alesis, and then I had a Behringer, and the Behringer's USB input came in as if it were on the RCA inputs. And the RCA inputs, there was no control for the RCA inputs. You didn't have volume control You couldn't you couldn't deselect them from the main output. They just automatically came in the main output, as I recall. Yeah, we don't have the model of the mixer, so this is a little bit shotgun. I should have gotten that. Well, frankly, here was the issue: is they were calling me for vMix tech support, and I was trying not to go down the rabbit hole of audio tech support when they really needed to do that on their own. And they had an audio technician that they were working with, and for some reason, I don't know if the finger got pointed at vMix or if they thought I could help. But I think I was able to help them identify where the issue was. The issue was in the mixer. So they needed to send up an auxiliary output back to the PC that didn't include either everything for the PC. Yeah, it would have to be everything for the PC because there was no way to split out the guest's output. Unless you take the guest's output, again, as a separate output from the PC to the mixer, analog, line out to the PC, and then whatever input that is on the PC, don't include that in the main output. And I explained that, but I remember when I was first doing audio stuff, Mike Phillips in North Carolina was trying to explain it to me, and it took me a week to understand the difference between inputs and outputs. I'm a slow learner, and it probably was another 2 or 3 weeks, and it wasn't constant. We just had conversations, once or so a week, and it took me another 2 or 3 weeks to finally grasp the concept of a mix minus, because I was still struggling with inputs and outputs. And so now it's an input on this machine, but an output on that machine, and it's a mix minus, which means it's part of the mix, but it's minus. And and it just made my teeth rattle. Eric says to replace the USB mixer with a Dante USB mixer, but the vMix audio is also delayed, so it's a bounce back. Virtual cables. I don't know that that's going to help because this is a device that is outside of the PC. So we can't do anything virtually because there's no connection to, once it connects to the outside world, it's not virtual anymore. Oh, gee, I said he had a similar setup to this, but with a hybrid conference and long uninterrupted statements. And so he could just disable and enable it. You could do that. You could set up just monitor the slider. That's right. And he was connected with XLRs, not USB. Well, but you had control over all the channels then individually, whereas USB, you're getting a mixed signal from the PC. So if there are 4 channels in the PC, there's only left and right stereo coming out of the PC. I wish we had the mixer. I wish we had the model of the mixer. And they did say that they had purchased a PreSonus audio interface to fix this problem, but they tried to explain to me how they were doing it, but I don't think they understood what the audio interface would do to begin with, and the explanation of how they would use it made even less sense. So yeah, if there's a way to split out, the problem is the host needed to hear the guest, and the guest was hearing his voice back. Now, maybe he had a speaker in his room and didn't have headphones. Possibly. Didn't ask that question. I should have. But once it goes, and it was a USB mixer, we know that. Once the audio goes out of the PC with the guest and any other, video and bumper music or whatever, all that audio now becomes combined as one signal. You can't split that guest out anymore. So you can't do a mix minus with that because it's coming in already mixed. You can't demix it. It's already mixed. If it comes in different channels, yeah, you can pick which channels you want to eliminate. You want to minus. So yeah, they have to do an output from vMix that allows them to do a mix minus at the PC. And so if they have everything combined in vMix, then they need to do a second physical output from the PC carrying just the guest's audio. And then make sure that audio, number one, gets to the host, and number two, doesn't go back to the PC. Jeff M says, wouldn't it be delayed by the USB, small latency? So I think it would be hard to get rid of the echo if that's important. If that's important, hear her. The echo, the audio from the guest, as long as it dead ends into the mixer, the host is going to hear it. There might be a slight delay in it, but she's just monitoring it. She's just listening. She's not worried about it syncing up with lips on her end. It will sync up with lips on the viewer's end because all of that's staying in vMix and being broadcast from vMix. And if she's monitoring her own audio on the mixer, yeah, there could be a little bit of latency there. But as you say, it's the USB that might add some latency. And there's also the PC processing that definitely adds latency. For sure. Sure. The answer to the headphones, earbuds versus studio speaker. Yes, definitely need to know the answer to that. Is the guest listening with a speaker? And it didn't sound like these folks were real technologically sound and balanced. It sounded like it was all kind of magic. If it worked, it was magic. We don't know how it worked, but we know it worked. Don't change anything, kind of thing. And I used to be there, and I'm still there in some ways. Hello, Tim. Tim says, does a USB mixer have a pre-delay monitoring function? Mine does. A pre-delay monitoring function. Tim, do you mean for the guest, for the host to hear herself? He said, my Rode mic also has a pre-digitalizing output. It may not be full and then you cut off. I'm sorry. Jeff says, can you delay the audio in the vMix software? You can. But if the audio is coming from the mixer back to vMix, and that's the echo that the guest hears, if we delay that same audio, which includes the host, it means that her lip sync will be off. So the old Tom Sinclair, I've created a problem by trying to solve a problem. GI says, I don't think it's necessary to send the guest and effect audio from vMix separately, as audio from the effects can be added in vMix itself. Yes, but that would be the only way for the host to hear it. If it was coming from vMix. If it's not coming from vMix, then it's not a problem. Yeah. Tim says, I may not fully understand the configuration. This is not understandable? Let's see if we can get rid of some of it. Okay. I don't know if that's any better or not. Let's take this out. There we go. So we've got a caller, Tim. I wish this was translucent. Who's coming in over vMix call on a vMix PC, and attached to the vMix PC is a digital mixer And I'm thinking a low-end digital mixer that is only sharing audio to and from the PC in stereo. I don't think it's one of the higher end mixers where you can, set it up as ASIO and bring in every input separately into vMix from the PC. And then the host is speaking into a microphone attached to the mixer and monitoring the audio from the mixer. And right above her head, let's give her a skirt. Whoops, can't do that. Sorry, let's try again. We'll give her a red skirt. Okay, so we know it's a girl. And she's also sending audio signals, maybe from her phone or something else like that, into the mixer, so that mix her audio and the sound from whatever whatever audio she's playing go into the mixer, goes back to the PC over USB. The problem is that the mixer is mixing the input so that the host can hear it with the output so that it can go back to vMix, and we suspect that the guest is hearing it a second time. Okay, Jeff agrees with GI. Why is it important for the hosts to hear themselves anyway? That's a great question, and they may not need to, but that doesn't change the problem, because that's not part of the problem, I don't think. Whether they hear themselves or not, they need to hear the guest, and the guest needs to hear them. So I don't think, I'm trying to see how that would help. Because their audio has got to go into the mixer so that it can get back to the PC. And the guest's audio has got to come out of the PC to go into the mixer so that the host can hear it. Yeah, GI is saying he doesn't think that the hearing themselves is the problem, that his suspicion is that the problem comes from vMix receiving the audio it sends. And I think that's it too. So you've got to have, as GI said at the very beginning, a mix minus at the mixer. Jeff says, my first stream with Zoom before vMix added Zoom in version 27, I had my audio click to come through the audio mix, and then the rest of that got cut off. He said I had to quickly go. Well, let me see if I can switch over to something else and see that. Maybe here we go. Yeah, there we go. I had to quickly go find the button to turn it off. It was very awkward. I get that. Especially, when you're either using something new for the first time or doing something new with something you've always used and assume it's going to operate a certain way, and it doesn't. Kind of like this thing right here. Yeah. Tim said, I just did a configuration like that. He has a Xenix Q804 USB mixer. Okay. I had a Xenix, I don't know that mine was a Q, but it was still USB. It was a 1602 or 1206. Anyway, he had an 804 that had a direct output as well as a vMix output. I would listen to the control room output pre-digital delay. So the control room output, you could decide which of the inputs went to the control room output. And you had an analog output out of vMix that went into the mixer, so it was on its own separate channel. Am I hearing that correctly? Or am I understanding that the way you're saying it? Yeah. I'm not sure. So Tim says, I push the button and I hear the premix inputs. Gotcha. Gotcha. So you can hear it even if it's even if it's turned all the way down. You're hearing it pre-mix or pre-fader. Pre-fader would mean that you would hear it before it got faded out or not included in the main mix. I guess by pre-mix, that would be it. So if it wasn't included in the main mix, that's different than a fader, but it's the same effect in this situation. Yeah. Got it. Good. Well, we are all doing a great job of sharing a little bit of something. And for somebody that's watching later or now and says, what? I feel your pain. I do. I've been there. It wasn't any fun, but it was part of the learning process, and you just have to grit your teeth and fight through it. And you know what I really found helpful was drawings like this. You know, drawings, arrows, where everything was going. In order for my little dinosaur brain to catch all this stuff, I had to map it out because I am great about maps. You put a map in front of me and I can go anywhere. But if you give me audio directions, if you call them out, once I get past the second direction, I can't remember the first one. But if I have a map, I can visualize it. Visual person, for sure. Did much better in school when I had show and tell. Show especially, not so much tell. Yep. Well, I appreciate you guys indulging me today. We'll try to come up with another vMix audio riddle for the future. Maybe we won't call it a riddle. We'll call it a mystery because it is a mystery sometimes. And especially, you know, I get a lot of tech support calls and when I get one from somebody that's got an audio problem, one of the first questions I have to ask myself is, do they understand audio? And, you know, there's sort of a threshold where you can say, yes, somebody understands audio, and no, they don't. I understand you can go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. But when people understand inputs and outputs, when they understand mix minus, when they understand about routing audio, you can work with that. But if all of that is a mystery, or if they've got a piece of equipment that I'm not familiar with, you know, sometimes I'll Google it, bring up a picture of it on the screen so I can see the button layout and see, you know, kind of what we're talking about. But if they don't understand it, they don't understand it enough to ask a question. Sometimes I have to ask a lot of questions in order to be able just to understand what their question is to me. It's all about questions and answers. Jeff says, previous question. I'm using vMix NDI to go out to another PC. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to get to you in the post show. Let's fly over to the post show, take Jeff's question. And if you have any questions about audio, don't direct them to me. Be right back. Looks like we had a little glitch there for just a second. Did the internet glitch? Oh dear. Well, I hope not. I'm back. Yes. Hey, Nick, glad you're here. All right. So Jeff's question doesn't completely show up over here just because of the limitation of that particular setup. So previous question, using vMix NDI to go out to another PC, which is running OBS for YouTube Shorts, using a specific input for an output to OBS. And the audio quits on the NDI vMix output. Using vMix NDI to put audio essentially out on a network, and a second PC running OBS picks up that audio as an input, but sometimes it quits. Oh, sometimes it quits on the NDI video vMix out. That part you don't see in there, the vMix out. So Jeff, what you're saying is that vMix stops sending the audio, or that the audio never arrives at OBS. OSB is a type of plywood sheeting. Sorry. Because those are really two separate questions. If the audio never makes it out of vMix, that's a vMix issue. If the audio never makes it to OBS, that could be a network issue. He said that glitch has been happening a lot the last week. And Jeff says, yes, out on the network. And yes, the vMix stops sending, and then it starts up again without me doing anything. What are you using vMix 27? Are you using Windows 11? Are you, is the vMix NDI, or is the audio that you're sending out by NDI coming from inside vMix, or is it coming from a third device like a mixer? Eric says, are you using somebody else's network? Tommy Willis, welcome. Good to see you. Glad to have you. It is a mystery. It can be a mystery. All right. Jeff says, I'm using NDI monitor to see the audio stopping. Yes, vMix 27. Yes, my network 1G. And it's your mic from the mix. Okay. So why would vMix stop sending NDI audio? I'm just trying to think that one through for a minute. What in Eric, I hear you. Eric says it sounds like a network issue. And Jeff says, but on the let me put this up so you guys can see it now. Sorry about that. There we go. But on the vMix, the audio continues fine. I can see the volume meter, and then it stops in the NDI monitoring software. Yeah. Gotcha. So it essentially, you can see it in vMix. It's okay in vMix, but it drops out of the network. Oh, GI's asking a good question. Let's get that one up there. Are you monitoring it on the vMix PC or the OBS PC? And that's a diagnostic question. It's not the answer to the question, but if you don't see it on the vMix PC, then you probably won't see it on the OBS PC. But if you on the vMix PC. Yep. Interesting. So Eric says, whose network? Jeff says it's his own network. I guess my question, Jeff, is if you send, are you sending just audio to the OBS PC, or are you sending video and audio together? And so is just the audio not arriving or glitching, or is there video attached to it? I think one way to test that would be, either with the camera or just with a video clip that had audio attached, and make that available as an NDI output. See if there's anything in settings that I might suggest. Outputs, NDI on or off. Alpha channels, resolution, CRT, Okay, so sending both video and audio. I've tried 2 separate outputs for the audio. Both work fine in OBS once the NDI monitor shows the VU monitor output again. Sure. So it's arriving at OBS when it's being sent. It's just not being sent. GI says if it's happening on the same PC, it's probably not network, as NDI traffic to the monitor would be happening inside that one PC. I'm not sure I agree with that completely. I think NDI Studio Monitor will monitor what's on what NDI and what's on the network, regardless of the source. So in a way, I think it has to get to the network for NDI to be able to monitor it, for NDI Studio Monitor to be able to monitor it. But I could be wrong. The video, well, what else is on your network, Jeff? Are there other NDI sources that could be eating up bandwidth? The OBS machine is on the network. Is it sending NDI somewhere? Are you using it to live stream? What kind of switch have I got? Yeah, I've got a dumb, meaning not smart, Netgear switch, 8 ports PoE, and I haven't ever had a switch issue, although people have advised me to replace that switch with something else. Until it fails me, I'm not going to fail it. Just NDI sources coming out of vMix. A man after my own heart. What would I do? I would try a different NDI method rather than a vMix output. and it depends on what you've got easy access to. It might be easier to change the switch. But I would set up vMix desktop capture on your vMix PC, not run vMix. Have an audio video source on that PC that the vMix desktop capture could capture. And then on OBS, I would set up a trial license of vMix and see if vMix can pull in that desktop capture. I don't know if other things will pull in the desktop capture. I've never tried that. Here's a thought. Step down to NDIHX. Definitely much lighter on the network. You know, if you're sending 4K, you could be sending 200 megs. You know, more likely maybe 160, 180, but you know, it's just a thought. Just trying to figure out, not that that's going to be a solution or anything else like that, but it's just the idea that it might pop up something else that then leads you to the solution, that it gives you an answer that's different than what we would expect, i.e., it might work that way. If it did, then it would, you know, really kind of help pinpoint down that it was a problem not with NDI and not with the network, but with vMix's output of NDI. And it could be a bug in vMix. They had one before. I wish they made a traffic monitor for your network where you can get on there and you can see all the bandwidth, all the little signals that are going through and where they're going, if they got there and did they come back. Yeah, I get that. Is there's you say it's YouTube Shorts that you want to be able to do, and OBS does that better than vMix? I'm just asking. I don't know. I've never tried anything in the vertical framework, although I think that would be a great idea for vMix to have a whole separation where everything is vertical. The inputs are vertical, the processing is vertical, and the outputs are vertical. And it saves vertical files. Yeah. The bandwidth software app would be a good project for me. No, I don't create nothing for me is original. Everything for me is stolen from somebody else and put together. Whoa, sorry, it's not you, it's me. Stolen from somebody else and put together with something else that was stolen from some other people. Yeah, somebody else. So, yeah. Well, Jeff, keep us apprised of what goes on, what you find out, whether it was network or whether it was vMix or whether it was something else. And if you think I can help in some way, I'm not an OBS guy at all. I'm not really an NDI guy, although I use it. I'm kind of like, you remember we were talking about the audio people earlier? That's how I am with NDI and networking. So yeah. The mainstream's on the vMix PC. Okay, I got that. I've had success gaining subs with streaming shorts at the same time. Ah, good thinking. Good thinking. vMix mainstream OBS with vMix feed for the live shorts. So what happens if you stream to to YouTube Shorts with a regular vMix output? I mean, I don't know. That's an easy question for me not to know the answer to. Stopped using OBS 2 years ago, version 26. Now OBS is only 30. LOL. Yeah, and it's two different ways of trying to do somewhat of the same thing. You know, OBS is kind of built by a committee, and vMix is the brainchild of one individual. It's not to say that other people don't add to it, but yeah. Yeah, that would be a good answer. I mean, I would like to know. Oh, Eric. Eric says it's NetFlow Analyzer. There you go. I can't find the way to set up vMix on 2 stream feeds for the shorts, but the second short feed didn't show up as a live short. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Okay. One parader. Not sure how that reads. Help me out with that one. One of the past live broadcasts saw a portable case with a computer inside. Share this case, please. Well, I've got some that are taken apart right now. Let's see if we've got a camera that can show them. 1 second. Well, that's my shelf. You can see a blue one there that we've stripped the guts out of, and then 3 more. These are actually systems that we have we purchased pre-owned and rebuilt and are rebuilding. And so those are the used ones. And then do I have a picture of the other one? Let's see. Desktop. You know, it's funny because I used to have a picture of it here on the screen, but I did away with it. So let's see if we can find it here for you real quick. Photos. One second. Nope. Can't lay my hand on it that easily, but I'll tell you what, if you'll go to the website, the blue one, yeah, okay. If you'll go to my website, easternshorebroadcasting.com, and go to the contact form and shoot me an email through that, I'll send you pictures and other information. And you may be interested in one of these used cases, or you may be interested in one of the new cases. But the blue one you saw was probably that blue one here in this picture. And we have configured it different ways, different times. Yep. We bought like a dozen or 15 of them to begin with, and we've got about 6 left, I guess. And Jeff says that OBS has a plugin just for vertical shorts. Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea. That's cool. All right, boys and girls. I have got to run. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I do. And if you have any questions or if I can help you, easternshorebroadcasting.com, contact form, shoot me an email, or Tom at Eastern Shore Broadcasting, or Facebook, or YouTube. You can leave a comment below. I'll answer a question in the comment below if you're watching after the fact. Yeah. So we'll come up with another riddle in the future. But until then, I appreciate you guys. And I look forward to seeing you another time. Thanks for watching.